Very early on in the Third Age, as the God Wars began, the dwarves went into hiding. During this time, as the wars ravaged the surface of Gielinor, the dwarven tribe, who were proficient with the use of magic, began to start construction on a great underground city. The city was built on either side of the great underground river Kelda, from which it gets its name. The dwarves of Keldagrim divide their history between three periods: the era of kings, the rise of the consortium, and the era of prosperity. While these periods do not match the human-made ages, much of the history is found within the Fourth Age, following the God Wars. Though the dwarves of Keldagrim constructed their great city, at least in part, using magic to do so, they lost the power of magic during this period within the Fourth Age. The first era of the dwarves was the era of kings. During this time, the city was ruled by a monarch. This era lasted throughout the Third Age and into the Fourth. Around 1,000 years into the Fourth Age, the dwarves finally surfaced to find the God Wars had ended. Under the rule of King Alvis, the dwarves and humans barely interacted, both hesitant of the other. Later, in the Fourth Age, King Alvis founded the Consortium, a group of the 8 most powerful mining companies in Keldagrim. They were founded to aid the monarchy but quickly became more powerful. By the time of King Alvis's death, around the year 1669 of the Fourth Age, the Consortium took power over Keldagrim. Though the specific companies that make up the Consortium have changed over time, the Consortium as a whole has remained in charge ever since. With the Consortium in control, they moved their headquarters into the palace and began the technological rise of the dwarves. They constructed great steam engines and minecart systems, connecting the dwarves with human cities. This era has since been known as the Era of Prosperity. While in the dwarven city of Keldagrim, we have a single quest task. We'll need to complete the giant dwarf quest here today. We have a single achievement task to complete here also. We'll need to browse the stonemason's shop in West Keldagrim. For our skill tasks, we'll need to mine copper, tin, iron, coal and gold in the city, requiring 40 mining. We'll also be using an anvil in the city for our smithing skill, as well as returning to our player-owned house to construct an imp statue, requiring level 15 construction. For our miscellaneous tasks, we'll have many purchases to make today. We'll need to make purchases from Agmundi's Quality Clothes, Nolar's Carefree Crafting Stall, Herko's Crossbow Shop, Hervey's Green Gemstone Gems, Gunslick's Assorted Items, Keldagrim's Best Bread Store, Tatty and Sun's Pickaxe's Mine Store, Sarrow's Quality Armor Shop, Santiri's Quality Weapons Shop, Goldamar's Silver Cog Silver Stall, Vermuni's Clothes Stall, Beer's Warhammer, Auden's Oars, Kurt's Kebabs, the King's Axe Inn, and finally the Laughing Miner Pub. With all that in store for today, let's begin.
Hello, human. What brings you here?
To Keldagrim? Well, that's a bit of a story. We start today finding a pair of dwarven statues outside a cave. Wandering in, we discover an entrance to an underground settlement. There are dwarves here with boats too. Let's look around. A little way up the river, we find some mines and a couple of dwarves who tell us about the city of Keldagrim just up the river. While they won't take us up the river, it's not long before we find someone who will. They show me the marvelous city from the boat, including the statue of their old king. Something goes wrong, however, and... well, that's when we crashed into the statue, you see.
You crashed the ship into the statue?
Well, not me, the dwarven boatman. I was just on the ship at the time.
So then what happened?
With the boat crashing into the statue, we're seized by the Black Guard and taken by Commander Velderban to be interrogated. The commander seems to be fine with the mishaps, however, telling us that the statue was old and needed to be torn down and replaced anyway. What a relief. The commander says we're not under arrest and instead he wanted to talk to us about something. He wants us to go and talk to the local sculptor about a new statue. We ourselves are an honorary member of the Black Guard, but apparently this information has not been received by Commander Velderban. We look around the city for a bit before finding the sculptor, Blazadar. He tells us that he needs a few things if he's going to make a new statue. Firstly, he'll need a pair of exquisite boots fit for a king, clothes made in the style of the old kings, the same as the old statue, And finally, King Alvis's original battle axe.
That's quite the tall order, isn't it?
For someone so new to the city, it sure was. That's a lot of stuff to collect, and I didn't have much of a heading for any of it really.
So how did you do it?
Well, let me tell you. With little instruction, we head to the nearby marketplace and look around for a clothing merchant. By chance, there's one here. They tell us that they could make clothing of a similar style if they could get a reference. They suggest going to the library to get a picture for them to work off of. Now that we have a decent lead, we cross the bridge to the other side of the river and visit the library that we were directed to. The librarian directs us to an old book on the shelf, which we borrow for the design. Walking back across the bridge, we return to Vermundi with the book. She can help us, but first she needs fuel for her spinning machine. It runs on coal and wood, so we agree to help gather those up. We have some coal on the bank, but we don't have any logs. There aren't any trees in the city either, so we'll have to return to the surface. Taking the boat out and not hitting any statues this time, we surface and gather a bunch of logs for later use. There's a mine up here which we make note of also. This may come in handy at some point. Returning to the city, we take the coal and logs and deposit them into the machine. Vermundi tells us that we'll need a tinderbox to light it and get it running. She could have said so. Why doesn't she have one? Back across the bridge once more, we return to the bank and grab a tinderbox. Now that it's lit, she'll make it, but she wants paying even after all that. Well, back to the bank. With the money, she makes the clothes and we take them to the sculptor.
So the clothing was easy enough to go after all.
A little bit of running around, but sure, not that difficult.
So what was next?
Well, next up were the shoes. Those were more of a fuss. When we were exploring earlier, we noticed a pair of exquisite boots in a man's window. He's not pleased about us being in the house though, and he refuses to talk to us. We look around some more and find an armourer named Saro, who we ask about boots like the ones we need. He tells us that he doesn't really stock boots very often, and that the only pair that match what we're looking for were sold for Dromund, who didn't appreciate us being in his house. With no other choice, we return and offer to purchase them off of him, since he's not actually using them. He's unwilling to negotiate and tells us to leave again. We are under orders for the Black Guard, and while we don't like to take things, we see no other option but to do so.
So you stole them? You stole the boots?
Well, borrowed. We did return them once we were done with them.
And you just got away with that?
As I said, I was under orders from the Black Guard and the Consortium. It's amazing what you can get away with when you're working under that kind of authority.
Wait, but you said the boots were on separate display tables. Surely it would have been tough getting both boots.
Yes and no. He kept one near the door and the other at the back of the house. Well, we've resorted to crime. The boot near the door is easy enough to grab without being noticed, but the cat sitting next to the other one is a harder task. The cat's watching us too closely to just grab it. What we really need is a way to magically grab it without being noticed. We have just the thing. Standing outside, we can telegrab the other boot right through the window. With both boots, we can return back across the bridge and hand them over to the sculptor. So you see, it took a little bit of work, but it wasn't that hard to get both boots.
So what else did you say you needed? The old king's axe, wasn't it?
Yes. Well, that was a different matter entirely. Only needing to find the axe now, we rush back across the bridge and seek out our lead in the weapons shop. Santiri here owns the king's axe, and once we explain what we need it for, he'll be willing to loan it to us. The axe isn't in its original condition, however. The blade is damaged, requiring iron, and it's missing the decorative sapphires that it once had. Santiri tells us that only an Imkando dwarf could fix the blade, but thankfully we know of just such a dwarf. Since we can have it restored, we grab the sapphires, a red berry pie, and some iron ore, then take the train we heard about to the Grand Exchange. We hop on over to Edgeville to smelt the iron ore for the bar we need, thankfully successfully smelting the bar. We then travel past Falador and south of Port Sarim to Thurgo, who, for the red berry pie we have, will happily fix up the axe. With the axe blade repaired, we return to Keldagrim, add in the sapphires, and hand the axe over to the model.
So then that's it, right? With the model prepared, the statue can be completed?
Well, you'd think so, but there's more.
There's more?
Yes. Since the Consortium didn't want the old king's head on the statue, a new one had to be chosen, and all of the Consortium leaders were hoping it would be them. With most of the statue built, we need to find out which of the heads of the Consortium are going to have the honour of being the face of the statue. Since the sculptor is busy, we've been sent to find out. Heading up to the trade octagon, we see many different groups, some more approachable than others. We like green. Let's ask this group. This group is the Green Gemstone. While the director is busy, we can talk to the secretary. We need a meeting with the director, but to get that we need to prove ourselves to the Green Gemstone. Even with the authority of the Sculptor and the Blackguard, the Green Gemstone outranks them, so we need to do what they say. If we're going to speak to the director, we need to complete a few tasks. Firstly, they want us to gather 3 gold ore, and they want it within 13 minutes. Okay, sounds easy enough. We've got a bit of a time limit here. We checked the bank, but we've only got 1 gold ore. We're going to need 2 more. We can get a free ticket to the Grand Exchange by cart, where we can buy 2 more. That's easy. Handing over the gold ore, it's not enough to secure a chat with the director. We're going to have to do more. Now they want 4 pieces of iron ore in 14 minutes. Time to get mining. Just out of the city is that mine we noticed earlier. There's iron rocks there. We have plenty of time, so we gather up a bunch of iron ore in case we need more later. Returning with the iron, they need clay now. They want 5 pieces of clay in 15 minutes or less. We do know where we can get some clay. Taking the mine carts once again, we travel to the Grand Exchange, then mine up the clay from the mine to the southwest. We've done this before. Returning once again, we hand it over and we're given a final task. They want mithril ore, which is beyond our mining level and tier requirements. We'll have to get that from the Grand Exchange too. Grabbing the ore and bringing it back, we've proven ourselves. We're now allowed to talk with the director.
So you spoke with the director, and he told you the person whose head was going to be on the statue?
If only it were that easy. No, they weren't quite done with us just yet. Now the director's giving me tasks to do. 4 bronze bars? I think I have those in the bank, easy stuff. What's next? 4 mithril bars, spoke too soon. We did receive 3 mithril bars in Morton, but we still need another. We grab one quickly from the Grand Exchange, making it back within time. The director is happy with our work ethic and wants us to join their company. After all the work we've done for them, we may as well. As part of the company, the director tells us that nobody has yet been chosen, but a vote will take place soon. Given our involvement with the reconstruction project, we might be able to sway the votes. Returning to the Blackguard Commander Velderban, we're taken to the meeting of consortium leaders and presented as a guest. The leader of the Red Axe is unhappy about the presence of a human, but the other leaders are happy with it. The leaders are mostly okay with us being the deciding factor in the meeting, so we put the Green Gemstone director forward and he's chosen as the new face of the statue. The Red Axe director gets upset and storms out.
So you chose whose face was on the statue then? What an honour.
I suppose so.
Such an interesting tale, especially for a human. So then what did you do?
Well, with our new crafting level we can actually make the rabbit foot necklace from last time. In our journey around the city we noticed a bunch of shops where we can make purchases. We grab a bunch of money from the bank and make our way around. We first buy a beer and stew from the Laughing Miner pub, drinking the beer and eating the stew. We don't have enough table space to put the bowl down. We take a look around the pub, finding a nice upstairs place with a great view of the city. Furthermore, a table where we can place our bowl. We make a purchase of a pickaxe from the Pickaxe's Mine shop, buying a steel pick. We have a better one, but we never know when we're going to need it. Travelling a little more around the east side, we find a drunken dwarf who's the brother of the drunken dwarf that came to our housewarming. Neat. We head over to the kebab shop and buy a kebab before making purchases in the marketplace under the consortium. We buy some bread, a sapphire, extra thread, some crossbow parts for a bronze crossbow, some silver ore and a silver bar, and then follow it up with some dwarf clothes. We were hoping that the clothes would help us look the part, buying trousers and a shirt. They're not exactly a great fit. Good thing we didn't buy the shorts.
So you made a bunch of purchases on the east side of the city? Okay, then what?
Well, then I came into your house and started speaking with you. Then you said, "Hello human, what brings you here?" Then I said, "To Keldagrim? Well, it's a bit of a story." And then...
Yeah, okay. I remember that part.
Oh, right.
Well, I guess I'm caught up then.
Yeah, I would say so.
You can leave my house now.
Oh. Leaving Carl's house, we cross the bridge once again. I swear I'm going to die crossing this bridge. On the western side of the city we can continue our purchases, buying some blue clothing from Agmundi. Oh, these shorts are short. Not really our style. From Vig we can buy an adamant warhammer, further expanding our collection of adamant crush weapons. Making our way around, next we buy some charcoal and rope from the general supply store before depositing our new gear and renewing our cash. Looking around some more, we purchase 5 limestone bricks from the stonemason. Checking his store was an achievement too. We head out of there and buy a dwarven stout from the King's Axe Inn, toasting to our successful day with Gaius in the inn. Cheers! The shop next door sells a black chain body, an interesting choice. Our final purchase on this side of the river today is from the Quality Weapons shop. Here, they sell a rune longsword for just way too much money. They do sell a maple longbow and adamant arrows for a reasonable price, so we buy those. Back over the bridge, we take our pickaxe and some coins. We're going to do some mining here now. On this side of the river, we can mine some coal. There's a specialized furnace down here where we can sell ore, but not for a great price. There's also an armor store here. An adamant plate body? I think it's time we buy one. We grab it, selling our adamant chain body that has been with us for so long. Taking the boat back to the entrance, we can pay a 2-coin fee to cross the river and make use of the mine on this side, mining iron and gold. From the top of the tower here we can look out at the new statue, a marvel of our work. While here we mine some tin, before getting more iron and gold. Let's get back. On this side of the river, near the dwarves we spoke to earlier, is a copper mine. With our tin and copper evened out, we can head back to the bank. We grab our bronze bars from the bank to make some nails before grabbing one of our house teleport tablets and returning to the house. We're going to build an imp statue with the limestone bricks, but we'll need another garden for it to be the centerpiece. We'll need more money to build that. Quick stop over at Falador? No problem. With the money for the garden, we build it. Wait, we need clay too? Back to Falador. There we go, a statue, perfection. This will teach those imps to steal beads and stuff. There's another way back to Keldagrim other than from the Grand Exchange. We can also make our way there from the Dwarven mines, though this incurs a fee. Finding the cart conductor in the mines, we pay up the fee and return to Keldagrim. We've made our way around Keldagrim today, making purchases and fixing up the mistakes that were blamed on us with the statue. We've impressed many of the consortium members but annoyed the Red Axe. I'm sure that won't come back to bite us though. With a firm grasp on the Dwarven ways, we're going to move on. We make our way out of the underground and look around the mountains some more, finding a camp nestled in the mountains. Please join me next time in the mountain camp. A special thanks to Barry Mikakinju for providing a voice for today's video. If you'd like a chance to voice a character in the series, subscribe and join the Discord, links in the description below.